My name is Angus Fletcher. I'm a professor of story science here at Ohio State's Project Narrative, and I'd like to welcome you to Knowledge Drop. Today, we're diving into the science behind scary stories, why they thrill us, how they work in our brain, and what you can do to write one yourself. So the most ancient part of our brain is a little thing that sits on top of the brainstem, and it's called the amygdala. And the amygdala houses what's called our fight or flight response. And whenever we see a threat, our amygdala goes active. So what you're trying to do when you create a horror movie is you're trying to trigger the amygdala, but not too much. Because if you trigger the amygdala all the way, they'll transition out of imagining what might happen next into taking a response, into doing something. And the moment the person starts to act, the fear is gone. It's a lot more scary to hear footsteps outside your house than it is to be confronted with whatever is actually outside your house. Let me give you an example from Hollywood, Jaws. Jaws is about a shark, and so you might think, well, of course, Jaws is scary. And when young Steven Spielberg, who directed Jaws, got on the set, he thought, there's nothing scarier than a shark. This movie can't fail. But from the moment they started to try to film the movie, the shark did fail. They had this mechanical shark that was always flooding, that never did what Spielberg wanted it to do. And so again and again and again and again, what young Steven Spielberg had to do was figure out creative ways to shoot the scene without showing the shark. And that made the movie more scary. Because once your brain sees the threat, it knows the threat. And once it knows the threat, it doesn't find it as scary. But if your brain can only see hints of the threat, if the threat is shrouded in shadow or in deep and dark waters, then what your brain is constantly doing is trying to imagine what else the threat could be. And that's where the creep comes from. Not from showing us something that is scary, but getting our brain to imagine something that's more scary than anything it's actually seen. If you want to create your own scary story, start by thinking about something safe, and then change one detail about it and imagine what happens next. That's why the classic scary story is a haunted house, because what's safer than your home? But then you come home and you notice, wait a minute, one thing in my house is out of place, and I didn't move it. What happens next? Now you know about scary stories. Please consider supporting Buckeye Writers by donating to the Creative Writing Support Fund at Ohio State.